Welcome to the Six Again podcast, your new destination for all things NRL. Here to bring you everything from team news to best bets are your hosts Adam Hoy and Jared Newton. Let's kick off.
Hello and welcome into the Six Again podcast. This is episode 40, our wrap of round 10 of the 2020 NRL season. My name's Adam.
Hey guys, my name's Jared.
And we are the two hosts of Six Again. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Basically, we're a couple of mates who talk about the NRL and rugby league. We do a preview and a review of every week. And this is our review of round 10. We go through all the games and everything going on outside, off the field, in the world of NRL. And this week, we'll be covering some outspoken personalities of our game. A coach has been given an ultimatum and another coach is about to be announced on a 3-year signing. So we'll be getting to that. But I guess what we'll kick off with is a couple of people have made some comments during the week that have gotten some traction. And I brought up Ricky Stewart's name and Jared's like, yeah, same old. And it became apparent pretty quickly that we were talking about different topics. So
Ricky Stewart has a lot of comments on every subject.
He does. He speaks a lot. He talks a lot. Mostly people listen. Usually the match review panel to see whether they can find him or not. But what I'd heard was different to what Jared had heard. You want to cover your bit first, Jared, or is that a non-news story because it's been done?
It's the usual story for Canberra, which it kind of annoys me because, look, I love when Ricky Stewart tees off. It's good watching, no matter where you are. He's good. He's calmed down a lot because I feel like 10 grand every week's kind of putting a hole in Canberra Raiders' pocket. But he has the attitude that he kind of reminds me of conspiracy theorists, that the NRL and the wider NRL community have a vendetta against Canberra and this, that, and the other, which, look, they get treated not ideal, but and I agree with some of the stuff he says, but he seems to, when he coaches, like to coach where he puts it in the players' heads that their backs are constantly against the wall.
Hey, that's
like
a manly
everyone's
thing. You can't do that.
Everyone's against them. But it's not everyone hates Canberra. It's everyone disregards Canberra. Which
out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's not an attitude that you can keep up for a whole season.
Yeah.
I don't think. It's a very quick way to burn people out.
Did you hear why he went off on that tangent? Was there something that...
Yeah, so they had a 5-day turnaround.
Yeah.
They came up against the Roosters, who had a 7-day turnaround or an 8-day turnaround. He wanted the hotel the night before, which they told him they had to catch the bus in and out that day, which is fair enough because Sydney's a fucking hotspot right now.
Yeah, you can't.
With coronavirus. And I can't remember the last one, but there was another little gripe he had where he asked for a few different things, and the NRL have said no due to the restrictions, and he said that they're against him for it. He stuff like a hotel and stuff like that. He wanted, he didn't get, and that's why he said it.
Okay, well then if that's the case, then Ricky's asking more than he should be at this point in time. Yeah. What I'd heard was, or what I saw him talk about was he was worried about NRL or rugby league in general turning into soccer with regards to a
diving culture.
Yeah, diving culture. So the amount of players who are staying down in the play of the ball after a hit, the ref hasn't called a penalty, but the player knows that if a replay is shown, it's a high likelihood of them receiving a penalty, so that they're staying down, slowing the game down, taking up time, waiting for a replay to be taken. And we see it sometimes where the player's standing up, gesturing towards the referee. Why didn't you call that? The dummy half's going, dude, just play the friggin' ball. We're ready to go. Now, Ricky was saying through the week, he doesn't agree with it, but the advantage outweighs the negative, where he's trying to coach the players to stay down if you're hurt. Or if you're hit, sorry, not if you're hurt. And players don't want to do it. But he said half the week's just arguing with the players about if you stay down, there's a high likelihood we'll get a penalty. So everyone else seems to be doing it, but the players are like, well, that's kind of not how we play the game. So it's something I've noticed for, I'd say, 2 years plus.
They've been doing it a lot longer than that.
Long, but it's just so constant now. It's like every little flick, especially around the head area. It's not always just head knocks, but every little hit. There's enough penalties in the game. The attacking team already has enough advantage in our game. It's great. It's one of the things that annoys me more than anything, because you're freaking like, most of these dudes are 100 kilos plus. You're saying me like a hit from one of the other guys is enough to stop you from getting up.
Okay, so me and Adam had a bit of chat about this.
This is if you're not injured, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so Adam's got actually a pretty good solve to this, I believe. I really liked it. But as I was saying to him before we started, this is all a byproduct of the HIA. So examples like what happened in America when people got sued for concussion, what's currently happening at Newcastle with James McManus. There's a big focus on people getting hit in the head, which technically by the letter of the law, any tackle above the badge in juniors or above the shoulder, any contact to the head, if you want to go black and white, is a penalty. That's unfortunately, I know rugby league isn't black and white. It's grey everywhere, but black and white rules, any contact to the head is actually a penalty. So because of that, the players are actually doing the right thing, because the referees aren't, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just a byproduct of the HIA rules, which I 100%, I disagree with it, but it's just what happened because of it.
And it's ironic as well. Like, Vlandis has been applauded for speeding the game up and bringing these things in, and this is just another way that they found to slow their game down.
Yeah, well, we did say that. How are they going to manipulate these rules?
Well, actually, I think this has been going on for longer than the 6 again rule.
Yeah, it's just
I think more people are taking notice of it now because there's technically less stoppages.
Yeah.
Every time there is a stoppage, it's overanalyzed. What I'd like to see is, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, actually, how I'd implement it in soccer. But in ice hockey, you've got the embellishment rule, whereas when you get hit illegally, so say you get hit in the head with a stick, or you get pulled back on the arm or something like that, the other guy's going to get penalised for it. But if you embellish it and make it look worse than it is, so you get hit in the face, sometimes it's just a little tap on the face shield with a stick, and you throw your head back like you're on home and away or something, you'll get 2 minutes in the bin as well for embellishing the penalty. Now, how I'd see this work in rugby league would be a player gets hit around the chops or something in the tackle, the ref misses it. It would be just stand up, play the ball, but the player decides to stay down, knowing that if they stay down long enough, a replay is going to be shown, the ref's going to change his call based on what they see on the screen, or the video ref's going to make him change the call. My first point of contention is, if the refs missed it, it never happened. They shouldn't be able to change their call based on what they see on a video screen, because we're not playing the game 30 seconds behind time and in slow motion or whatever. Bunker's there for point scoring plays, I believe, anyway. And you've got a captain's challenge now, so if you don't like the tackle, use your challenge. But that's a separate thing. If the player stays down, they get hit in the head, all right, their team gets the penalty. Trainer comes on, does a HIA test, player doesn't have to go off because he's not concussed. So that player's been hit in the head, didn't get a penalty, so they've chosen to stay down knowing that they'll get a penalty if they stay down long enough. Their team still gets the penalty, but that player gets 5 minutes in the bin for an embellishment call.
So what's Adam saying
an
is...
injury.
Yeah, so essentially what Adam's saying is that if you stay down, you go off.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's
the penalty. So if it's an illegal tackle, you've been hit in the head, sweet. Ref's missed it. Play to the whistle. You get up, it's unlucky, but you're going to get a call for you later in the game anyway. And pretty much what you're doing is, it's called gamesmanship. You're bending the rules as much as you can to your advantage by knowing that the refs are going to wait a minute or so, look upstairs and give your team a penalty. But in order to do that, you've stayed down long enough, you've slowed the momentum of the game down to the point where it had to be stopped, you disrupted the flow of the game, therefore you've embellished a hit, illegal or legal, and you should spend the time in the bin.
All right, so, and this is only for high tackles?
No.
Okay, so...
The only thing, we mentioned the high tackles because we've got to test that.
Yeah, see, because if you got injury to any other part of your body, which you have to stay down for.
Well, if you get smacked in the ribs and you've got broken ribs or whatever, it's illegal. The shot's legal. You're just in too much pain to get up or whatever.
Yeah, what if you get winded?
You suck it up. Get up and play the ball. Seriously. There's so many stoppages for freaking injuries like that. Like, dudes get cramp and they hold the whole freaking game up.
I don't agree with that.
If you're on a defensive team, if you're the defending team and you get a cramp, that sucks. Your other 12 people have to work harder till you get back in the line. The ref shouldn't be stopping a freaking game just because the dude's got cramp. If you're the attacking team and you have cramp, you're allowed to put the ball down and someone else can play the ball as long as they don't gain an advantage.
I agree with that.
Just toughen the...
I reckon it's a good idea. I agree.
It's embarrassing to watch. You're a professional athlete lying on the ground because you're not good enough to be able to gain the 10 metres that you'd gain off a penalty kick. We don't have enough halfbacks in the game that can kick further than 30 metres over a sideline anyway.
All right, NRL, you should send a message to the NRL and get on top of that.
I want to send best friends with coaches. If your team gets a penalty 10 metres out from your own line, why are you kicking like 10 metres upfield? If that's going to be the case, you may as well tap it and run. Just freaking, if you're not going to be trying to take 40, 50, 60 metres, what's the point of having the penalty kick?
Or back up, or kicking it backwards.
Oh, if union guys can kick 70 metres on the fly, league guys can kick at least 50.
The ball's different, Adam. We've been through this a lot.
That's why I dropped it back 20 metres. Okay. Oh, yes, we got a penalty.
Next topic. Adam's teeing off too much.
Ryan Matterson. So it's come out saying that...
Talking about teeing off.
This is so good. It's come out saying that when Ryan Matterson left the West Tigers 1 year into a 3-year deal, which is a bitch move to say the least, he said, "You guys are never going to win a premiership. I'm out of here." That was reported this week, conveniently leading up to his first time versus the West Tigers.
Yeah, how long has that been on old mate's hard drive? Ooh. That article.
Now, Ryan Matterson and the Parramatta Eels have come out today saying he never said that. And the source with which they got this quote from is an anonymous source within the Tigers organisation.
Oh, so, yeah, righto. So it's a lot of shit.
So it could be like a janitor, it could be the ball kid, it could be the CEO.
And they could have taken it completely out of context.
Yeah, and if you just say anonymous source, you can't be held for
defamation of character.
Defamation or lying or anything like that. So we already know what's going to happen. NRL's a freaking soap opera. So this will get run up again and again this week about how much Matterson hates the Tigers, and they'll run out in front of 2,000 fans and you hear, "Bee!"
And I guarantee you,
it's a Parramatta home
Matterson will be on the phone with half the Tigers team all week going, "Is this serious. Like they're all probably best friends. Like Benji Marshall publicly stated he doesn't give a shit what Matterson did.
Yeah, that's what he said today. He's just like, he made the decision to go there because it's better for him. Good on him.
Yeah.
Blah.
Look, there's obviously probably some animosity. He did leave supposedly under bad circumstances, and if you got a player, but if you got a player in your squad who's done that kind of thing, you do get the shits of it. But these guys don't. These guys won't be reading too much into this bullshit. So
that's what I hate. Like, one thing, he signed that 3-year deal. He lasted a year and said, "I don't like it. I want to go somewhere else." Like, fuck. Imagine if we could all do that in our jobs. That'd be so cool.
Oh.
Anyway, all right. So shifting gears a little bit. Talking about, Marshall's team, the West Tigers, they belted the Broncos 48-0 to throw Jared's value bet out the window. But the Broncos' response to this as a board, it's coming from the top, is they've given Anthony Seibold an ultimatum. Win 5 of the last 10 games or next 10 games of the season, or you get fired. I think I'm in the majority here. Well, majority of responses I've seen, calling Broncos out for total bullshit. And
the first time everyone's in Seibold's corner.
Literally, like, Seibold,
All right, I've got written down right now.
Yeah, you go through who they've got to beat.
Okay, so what I've done is I've written the 10 games down there, and I've ticked off who I believe they could win against.
10 games against the Bulldogs?
Okay, so, and while I was doing this, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like going through the next one, going, oh, shit. Adam was sitting there listening to me the whole time. Okay, so next week, everyone knows they got Melbourne.
Bow.
Okay, so next one I put a question mark next to because this team fluctuates with good or bad. Cronulla. So, look, I don't think they'll beat them, but Cronulla can have a really bad, like, you know what I mean? Like, it could go either way. But I'm leaning
they just had a 58-point turnaround or something.
Yeah. Like 80-20. Like 80% Cronulla's going to win. 20%. And then next game's exactly the same boat. South Sydney. Who the fuck knows right now?
South once this year, so that'll be...
Yeah, but like that, and that will be the grudge match, Bennett versus Seibold.
Again.
Okay, so right now, theoretically, they've won 2 out of 3. That's like the best case scenario for them.
Yeah,
right?
all right.
Then they play Canberra. And then I think this is a legitimate winning chance. They're playing the Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's 3 out of...
We'd be saying they'd have, say, at least Stags back, if not for Feeder, maybe.
Yeah, so that means they've won 3 out of 5. He's on a fucking roll.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Roosters.
Mm-mm.
Then he plays Penrith.
Mm-mm.
Then he plays Gold Coast. So that's a legitimate win.
Mm-mm. Titans are on a 3-game win streak against them.
And then they play Para.
Nope.
And then they play Cowboys. So that's another one. So what I've got here, I've got wins, definite wins, and this is the best case scenario.
Yeah, okay.
Question marks Cronulla. Question mark Rabbits. Beat Dragons.
Mm.
Beat Gold Coast.
Mm.
And beat the Cowboys. And that's like 100%. That's just scraping in on the skin of his teeth.
So that's your 5-year 10.
Yeah. So he will not beat Melbourne. He will not beat Canberra. Will not beat Roosters.
I never say definites or definite nots, but let's just say high likelihood they will not.
The reality of it is, like, even the top 10, okay, maybe not the top 10, but the bottom 4 of the top 8, so 5 to 8. Yeah. If they won 5 of the last 10, that's pretty good for a lot of teams. This guy's, they're playing 5 of the top teams in the competition. Like, And then they're playing
yeah.
But just their tactics are bad. So on the weekend, I posted on our group chat that the try when they did the short drop out legitimately hurt my heart. That was just, it made me cry. I was so sad. But the stupid thing was they could have solved the entire problem by moving Coates in one player. So what they did, they kicked the Coates.
Yeah.
And he missed. He was on the wing. If he's jamming in on the wing, there's a 10-metre run there. And it's not like Leilua was quick. So all they had to do was bring Coates in, their best catcher, and put Croft on the sideline to have someone there.
Yeah.
Why would you why would you have your best catcher sitting on the wing?
You know what that kind of might come down to? Like, this isn't just the Broncos. This is everybody. And this is one thing where Parramatta and the Roosters are, and Penrith actually, I'd say, showing everyone up, is they're so structured that players get to a point where they don't even think for themselves anymore. They could have a 10-metre gap and still go through a block play where they don't need to because they're so structured in it when they should just run through the gap. But it would be a thing like Oates is the winger, so he stands on the wing.
Yeah, but like Coates was, and it was just so bad. And my father-in-law, he supports Broncos, right? I was talking to him today, and I'm not even at the point where I'm giving him crap anymore. I just feel sad. Like, it's not even, it's like literally, pun intended, whipping a dead horse at this point, because it's horrible. I feel
that is.
Like, for years and years, I watched Broncos just dominate us. And, we had our wins here and there and this, that, and the other. But, and I've always copped it because, Newcastle fan, living on the Sunshine Coast, yada, yada, yada. But, this is my year where I should just be like, ha, suck shit, you guys suck, ha, 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 ha. And I can't even do it because it sucks. It's not even worth it. It's just... the efforts they're putting out, no one should have lost the Tigers that badly. It was just...
So I've look at a couple of things that I took issue with this. And one, I saw Cooper Cronk make a comment on this, and it was 100% same place that I was coming from. We've talked about Broncos being one of the premier clubs. If your goal is to win 50% of the matches, that's an issue. If we go 5-10 to finish the season, that's success. You're like, no, it's not, man. That's
a C-.
Yeah, it is. It's a C- in school. Technically, yes, it's a pass, but that's a hell of a lot of people ahead of you. So one, that's an issue. Two, even if they go 5 for 10, that puts them on 16 points.
Oh, wait, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Anyone who's Adam's student right now is getting a C-. You guys are doing great. Okay? Doing great.
You're also not a professional sport club just yet. So
doing great.
If Broncos win 5 of their 10, that puts them on 16 points. You've already got 3 teams, Penrith, Eels and Storm, who are on 17, 16 and 16. So for Broncos to even come 8th, they're going to have to rely on Roosters, Raiders, Tigers, Rabbits, Sharks, Seagulls, Dragons, all finishing with something similar to or worse than a 3-7 record. And that's mathematically impossible because they're going to be versing each other. Now, they're on 6 points with Cowboys, Warriors and Titans, and they've got Cowboys and Warriors above them on points differential. So even if they do win their 5 out of 10 and Anthony Seibold saves the job, they're not going to make finals anyway.
No. I think they've given up on finals. They're just wanting they're wanting that pass grade for the last 10 games. I reckon they're throwing out this season.
If you're the Titans or the Warriors or the Cowboys or West Tigers or Knights or Seagulls, even Dragons of the last couple of years. Okay, you come 8th, 9th, you've just missed the finals, or you're pretty close, but it's not kind of the end of the world sort of thing. If you're coming 9th or missing the finals and you're a Melbourne or a Roosters or a Broncos or a Parramatta, they're kind of like your 4 biggest supporter bases, biggest like just bigger or glamour clubs. If you're setting yourselves 50-50 benchmarks and you're missing the finals, you deserve to be scrutinised because you're some of the biggest lights of the competition.
Well, look, Roosters suffer a loss and everyone's on their back.
Yeah, and that's what comes with territory.
Yeah, so with Broncos doing what they're doing right now, they can't go, oh, get off our back, we're trying. If you're going to put that jersey on, that's what comes with it. Unfortunately, it's not like, well, you could say Newcastle, where it's kind of expected, where you're going through a transitioning phase.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
You guys are well, as Adam said, a glamour club. You guys should be up there all the time.
And like, use Seagulls as an example here. We were coming into this week against Parramatta. If we lost this one, that's 3 games in a row. It might have already been 3. Knights, Dragons, Sharks. It was already 3. Sorry, this is going to 4 games in a row. But it wasn't, what's happening with Manly? It's, they are missing Turbo and Dylan Walker. And people bring up the injuries. Roosters lose a game. They're going, have they hit a brick wall? What's going on with Kiri? Rah, rah, rah. But there's no mention of Radley or Verrills or Tupou or injuries. It's, holy crap, they lost. What the hell's going on? It's a completely different point of view.
Well,
how you looked at.
I know I kind of keep harping on Newcastle, but
yeah, you do.
They're up to that point there. They're losing 7 players. They're 7 out of their top 17. They're injured. Like, I know on the weekend 2 players came back, but over the last whenever we did lose, we weren't blaming it on that shit. Like that's not an excuse that a lot of clubs get to make.
No, but I meant like the media and people talking about their
yeah. So Newcastle are at that point when they're not blaming it on thing. Broncos always have to be at that point because they've got so much money to put players. It's such a good club to be at. They've got the technology, the training fields, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just. Ugh.
And the other thing, like Seibold's only, to me, his tactics haven't been the best, but the biggest thing he's missed is not dropping names because of performing. But he didn't put this whole roster together. He's been there for what's the 2nd year? He's had
his 3rd year. His 3rd year.
2nd year.
2018.
Yeah, he signed, but last year was his 1st season.
Oh, was it? Right, I'll look it up quickly. Yeah, keep going.
He's on the 2nd year of a 5-year deal. He didn't make the call to bring him there for 5 years. The majority of this roster was in place. Yes, he's had a big hand in moving people on, but that wasn't just a coach decision. There was other people involved in that. I think I put a tweet out there saying that
second year.
He's obviously going to be upset, so it might make his coaching career take a bit of a dent, but if the Broncos sack him this season, he's getting a 3-year payout on a contract. Yeah, he's going to take a fair bit of tax in one hit, but that's a shitload of cash in one go. It's not like he's going to be hurting for money for the next little while. And that's going to, I don't know if it's got like the details of how much he's on per year, but Broncos, they're going to have to find that. They obviously probably can, but anyway, I think it's just a dog shot as much as the Bulldogs did with pay, Broncos, especially last week, they said, "No, we've made the coaching decision. We're sticking with him." Blah blah blah. As soon as they say that, you know he's about to get fired or a decision like this. So I know they just lost Corey Oates as well for at least a few weeks. Anyway, moving on. So this is outside of NRL, and I'm really excited to see where this story goes. Now,
we did touch on this earlier in the year.
Yeah, I'm going to give kudos here to Adrian Prezenko, who's the lead rugby league writer for Sydney Morning Herald. Now, we spoke earlier in the year about a group called Oakwell Sports Advisory out of the UK, and they were one of the organisations able to give the NRL a loan if they needed it through the COVID period. Now, they didn't need that loan, but the contacts had already been made. Now, the previous Melbourne Storm chairman, Bart Campbell, approached NRL a few months ago with regards to this partnership between private investors and the NRL. He's since stepped aside as he picked up a job in New Zealand Rugby. So Melbourne Storm's new chairman, Matt Tripp, has been in contact again with Oakwell Sports Advisory. Now, word on the street or in the papers now is they're looking at taking on a stake in the NRL. Not just a short-term stake, but a long-term stake. Depending on the size of the stake, anywhere between 500 million and $1 billion that would be injected into the game. Now, this Oakwell Sports Advisory Group, some of the clientele that they have overseas, Scottish Rugby, Manchester City, Saracens Rugby, who are huge, HSBC, who else we're looking here? Burnley Football Club, Major League Rugby, Gloucester, England Rugby, Leeds United, like West Ham United. These aren't small organisations that they've got a hand in. Basically, Tripp, as the Melbourne Storm chairman, is kind of like a middleman at the moment, taking on the previous work between Rugby League Central and Oakwell Sports Advisory. And they've had a discussion this week. And they've made it quite clear this isn't a cash grab. This is a third-party investment in the game. Now, the role Oakwell would play is they're an advisory group to sporting organisations. So they advise them on best steps and best actions going forward with regards to growth of the game. Now, earlier in the year, it was made quite clear, and Vlaney said that, the NRL has no assets. Not one asset does the NRL own. They don't own Suncorp. They don't own ANZ Stadium. They don't own Brookvale or any of these stadiums. NRL does not own one asset. So that would be probably one of the first things this advisory group would be doing with this influx of money, would be purchasing real estate that the NRL can then hold as equity, collateral, whatever they need to. Now, this sort of partnership is being looked at by Super Rugby. It's been looked at by the Six Nations rugby comp in Europe, the UK, Serie A, so the top Italian soccer leagues doing it. It's a big thing with American sports as well. So basically at this stage, NRL's like, why don't we have a look at it? There's no harm in looking at it. Now, the money talks that's being thrown around is Oakwell's initial valuation of the NRL is approximately $3 billion. So that's what they judge the NRL brand to be worth, meaning a 20% stake, so a fifth of that would be 600 million. So that'd be the injective cash. Both the NRL and Oakwell say 3 billion is the high side of valuations. That's as high as it would be. So what happens from here? NRL and Oakwell are going to continue to have conversations, see what a partnership would look like, see what both sides would get out of it. Once they've got to that stage, they could then bring it to both the New South Wales Rugby League and Queensland Rugby League It needs to be signed off by 12 of the 16 NRL clubs, as well as New South Wales and Queensland Rugby League and the ARL Commission for anything to go ahead. So from an NRL's point of view, this would ensure long-term success that doesn't have an influence on broadcasting, because they've got nothing to do with the TV, unless they advise that it would be better going pay TV than free to air altogether. That sort of stuff would be the only input they'd have there, but they wouldn't be really negotiating with TV deals from what I've seen from their deals overseas. The other, and from Oakwell's point of view, they consider NRL the most marketable of Australian sports. It's something that overseas sports can relate to with regards to NFL, ice hockey, rugby, etc., etc. And a big point they've said is the leadership that Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo have shown. That's a very professionally run organisation, and they'd be interested in having a hand in it. So if you want to jump on the Sydney Morning Herald website and have a look at that story, that is some really dramatic, exciting, could be game-changing news for the NRL.
So
world stage.
I've been pretty vocal in the fact I don't like American input in rugby league, because I don't think they know. Okay. Well, that's where I'm wrong. I really like this idea, and my first thought would be the fact that it gets Channel 9 and Fox Sports out of dictating rugby league.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, all the money coming into rugby league right now is coming from those two things. So with this happening, rugby league can go, no, you're not dictating how this is going anymore. We are. Because the reality of it, rugby league's run by Fox Sports and Channel 9. Like Peter V'landys does get a big say in what's happening, but a lot of his stuff is, he has to consult with them. Doing this, they don't have to. Mm-hmm. There's less control by the thing. It'd be interesting how the Channel 9 and everything cop this, because, like I said, it's going to take a hell of a lot out of their say in how everything's run. But, I like it. I reckon it could be good. Or it could turn into Super League all over again. It just depends how it all comes out, to be honest. You got to try these things to grow the game.
Exactly. And that's what this is about. It's the growth of the game. This is different to the American consortium, Park Lane, earlier in the year, who are actually interested in purchasing, purchasing clubs and running clubs from a private ownership standpoint. Now, say your Premier League teams, if they've got private owners, the gate share at their stadium is 100% taken in by the club, because they might build like a $300 million stadium, and they generate $60 million or 60 million pounds a year just on gate revenue. 100% of that stays with the owners of the club, and they use that to pay off their stadiums. If the NRL owned its own assets, like, say, the 3 stadiums that could be put in using that ANZ funding money, or Brookvale and Penrith and that Southern Stadium getting upgrades, if the NRL bought rights to those assets, this could be something that this Oakwell group could have a hand in assisting. So that's pretty exciting stuff going forward, and it'll be interesting that it wasn't one of the big stories of the week. It's more something I came across just researching it. So, yeah,
like I said, I'm super curious about it. Just gotta hope just hope it works out for the betterment of rugby league.
Yeah,
That's what you gotta hope for. But
The thing that I feel slightly confident in is the fact that you don't hear much about this company, but the fact that they've got partnerships with so many successful organisations is that the organisations see the value in it, but Oakall doesn't need to have their name out there and have their hands on everything going on, which is good. All right, so let's talk about actually round 10. That's just happened. We are halfway now through the season officially, the regular season. We're going to look at the 8 games, signing, judiciaries, injuries, and then Thursday's episode, so the preview for round 11. We're going to do our power rankings of what the top 8 look like, whether that's how we believe the top 8 kind of should look like, I guess, on form. But we'll do these 8 games first from round 10. But before we get there, we'll do, say, judiciary and injuries from round 10. There's a couple of signing things, and then we'll dive into the games. So, did you want to take the lead on one of these, Jared, and I'll do the other?
I got you. You start on the judiciary, and I'll get the injuries.
All right, sounds good. So we got Dragons back rower Tariq Sims, who's facing a 1-match suspension after being hit with a dangerous contact charge. One charge for contact to head or neck of opponent, Kieran Foran. He'll need to win his judiciary to be able to play next weekend due to loading points. He can't take an early guilty plea and avoid suspension. Ewan Aitken can avoid suspension for an early guilty plea. He had the same. That was on Tariq Sims, but doesn't have the loading. If Aitken challenges and loses, he will miss 1 match. Isaac Luke is facing a 1-match ban for a dangerous throw in Friday's loss to West Tigers. Because of a similar offence, he's facing a 1-match ban, whether he enters a guilty plea or is found guilty. So they're the only 2 charges. So either way, Isaac Luke will be spending time on the sidelines, as will Tariq Sims if he can't get his overturned. Ewan Aitken will be free to play next week. There has not been any updates that I'm aware of from the 2 matches on Sunday.
Okay, so I've lost where all the injuries were on my thing. So you might have to do that again.
All right. Injuries that we're aware of.
Yeah, I lost
it. Penrith Panthers fullback Dylan Edwards did not finish Sunday's game against North Queensland after what? Finish this sentence.
15 minutes or something, wasn't it?
No.
No, he got
why would Dylan
a hammy injury.
Off? Of course.
Another one. It was a hammy injury.
He's like Matt Moylan 2.0. Supposedly this was a monitoring call based on a feeling of tightness. Dean Farah did not last long. He was also replaced early in the game. He's come back from a toe injury. Now this was one that everyone was a bit about. Corey Oates was taken to Sydney Hospital during the game with a suspected compound fraction of his femur. If you don't know, that's the hardest bone in your body to break. It's your thigh bone. But how's this for a sentence? In great news, he only has a hematoma and a deep gash in his leg. So he could be back within 3 weeks. He will be having surgery though. Kieran Foran suffered a toe injury. Under the scans, extent of the damage. What's he saying here? Fears he may have suffered a recurrence of the injury that ended his 2018 season due to ligament damage. Moses Sully was forced from the field with a sternum injury. Nothing new yet. He was gone and then came back to the field when Ruben Garrett was taken off with the HIA, but he's still being monitored. Angus Crichton suffered a knee injury. Moderate grade MCL. He's already started rehab. Brett Morris been cleared of serious jaw injury, and Nat Bush should be back next week after missing with ribs. Michael Oldfield suffered a hamstring injury, 2 to 3 weeks. AJ Brimson's on track for an early return, maybe middle of August. Alex Twile, Robert Jennings could both be back next weekend for the Tigers. And little whispers, Dylan Walker and Tom Trbojevic may both be back earlier than expected. No time.
And then Trbojevic will do his hammy again, but whatever.
Of course.
Okay, so the first game of the round.
You want to do signings?
So what signings were there in the last week?
So, throwing our eye to NRLW, so Women's League. As it stands right now, pretty much all the women are free agents. The biggest tug of war that's going on at the moment is Isabel Kelly between St. George and Roosters. That'll be interesting because whichever club she goes to, she'll form a focal point in their back line. She's won the last 2 premierships with the Roosters. Sorry, last 2 seasons with the Roosters, but with had the Nines with St. George. So we'll try and keep us updated on that, but there is going to be a hell of a lot of signings in the NRLW world. And also Nick Kotrick.
Oh, signed with the Dogs. They finally got someone.
Yes. So we talked last week, Raiders had a 5-year deal on the table worth $2.5 million, so $500,000 a year. Not bad money for a winger with 2 years in his option. Bulldogs offered him 3 years at $1.8 million, so $600,000 a year.
But the key word was
money.
Keyword was winger.
Winger, yes. So
in the centres.
Canberra saw him as a winger.
Bulldogs said you could play anywhere in your back line.
Which is funny because centres actually get paid less than wingers, but anyway. So he's chosen the Bulldogs because he went back to the Raiders saying, I'll stay if you give me the same money per year. They said, we don't believe you're worth that much considering you're going to be playing on the wing. So he went to the Bulldogs. So they kind of, to me, that says he's chasing money more than premierships right now, or that he believes that Canberra will win this year and then he'll jump after he's won his premiership, because don't see him winning the premiership with the Bulldogs anytime soon. Whereas Canberra are still very much in their premiership window. So I thought that was a bit of a...
It's going to be interesting because he'll be their main man in the backline next year now.
Yeah.
No matter how it swings, he'll be up front and the pressure will be on him now.
And like, yeah, I look at that going, you had 5 years of guaranteed money. You've got 3 years of guaranteed money here, but if you're shocking over these 3 years, and the Bulldogs are shocking over these 3 years, like look at Milford coming into his next deal. He's going to be getting a fraction of what he's on now. So he must either have a hell of a lot of faith in what the Bulldogs are putting forward, or to me it just seems like
he can't have a lot of faith in what Bulldogs are putting forward.
Well, he has
they don't currently have a coach.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Barrett's going to be announced in the next 2 days. I'm guessing that was probably part of the negotiations. He would have known.
Yeah, but how many times has he met Barrett?
I don't know.
I
just want it to be an odd decision of.
Yeah, well, that I'm just jumping on that because, like, a lot of times when someone signs with someone, you hear the coach, going to the house and meeting them and going, "This is their plan." Well, Barrett can't do that. He can't go advertising the Bulldogs plan until he's announced. Like,
this is my plan if I get selected as coach.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it looks like 99.999%, but I don't think that the Bulldogs were able to use Barrett as a bargaining chip to get him over.
I don't know. Unless he knows something else there, or he's really banking on himself that he's going to get a deal worth this much again at the end of the next 3 years. Good luck to him.
The positive side of it is if he's really confident in his own ability, he could be that game breaker Bulldogs need.
And then you can justify a bigger deal next time. But there's not many elite players running around on teams that aren't doing well. That are real.
Well, see,
even Tagovailoa is not looking superhuman lately.
Still making $200 per game, but
No, but you're not noticing it as much until you look at the stat sheets. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you look at what was I going to say? All right, so a couple of weeks ago we touched on Paul Vaughan's chances of making New South Wales team now that Dragons are going to go bad. So Nick Kotrick's, if Fergo or who's the other winger, Adakar don't do well, he looks like the next cab off the rank to play on the wing for New South Wales at least. And then you look at Australia, he's in the frame, currently playing for Canberra. So, but early this year we talked about the fact that Paul Vaughan is probably not one of the best props in New South Wales right now because he's playing in a not so struggling team.
Yeah.
So, is Nick Kotrick backing himself to do so well that he is going to get picked in a team that looks like it's going to be bottom three at least next year? Probably not the year after if they get a few new signings, but at least next year still bottom three of the roster they have.
You look at Will Hawadi. People forget he played Origin.
Well, there's not many players who do it. Like Dave Clemmer did it when he was at Bulldogs. He still got picked every year for New South Wales and Australia and this, that, and the other. I'm guessing Payne Haas will.
Props, I reckon you can because your role doesn't change that much. You don't.
Well, Dan Gagai did for South Sydney. He still got picked. There's not many others anyway who are in the bottom couple of teams.
Yeah,
that will get picked from New South Wales. So let's keep going. I'll have a quick look at the bottom three teams and see if there's anyone else who might crack New South Wales or Queensland. Okay, so Broncos only Payne Haas off a feeder if he comes back. All right. Canterbury, Dylan Napa, and Gold Coast. I don't see any. Maybe Jairo.
Yeah, Jairo will. But they're based on past Origin performances.
Yeah, so he's banking on a lot because he was on the verge of an Origin call-up and Australian call-up, Origin call-up, and he's really relying on his ability here to go into that team and make something.
All right.
So
it's interesting to say the least. Oh, bloody Jared Croker, I tell you what. Anyway, Game 1, Thursday night. Grand Final rematch. People they were trying to talk it up through the week. But I think behind closed doors, most people didn't really give the Raiders a chance the way that they've been playing, the way Roosters have been playing. But tell you what.
Yeah, no, they got over first. And then after that, with the Morris brothers scoring, just Brett scoring.
Yeah, Brett got
and then how good he looked. And then I went to bed at halftime during this because I thought it was over and done with. I thought they couldn't come back. I love Ricky Stewart's quote in the press conference.
Yeah.
So someone hit Papali hard, and he goes, "That's when I knew they're going to win because they poked the bear."
They woke the bear.
And he scored the last try to win the game for him. The thing I'm most impressed about, so they won by 4 points. It's not like Canberra scored in the 79th minute. They scored the 65th.
Yeah.
So they held out Roosters for that probably, last 12 minutes. That's not something to be thrown around too quickly about. That's a good effort for that 12 minutes because they are the Roosters and they are known for finishing strong when they're behind. So good on them. Good on Canberra. They had their backs against the wall and they came away with a win. Like I said,
they controlled the possession. They controlled the completion rates as well, 85 to 66%.
Yeah, that's rare.
Actually really low for the Roosters. I'm just having a look through. Average set distance still went Roosters' way. Kicking meters were doubled, which is huge difference there. Missed tackles very much even. Only 50 extra tackles towards the Roosters. But this is a big one, like double the amount of errors. 14 errors to 7 with regards to Roosters over Raiders. And Roosters didn't even end up using all their interchange either. But this is just a dogged, determined performance by Canberra. And something like this happened last year with Hodgson being injured. People, including ourselves, wrote him off pretty much straight away. Yeah. And they still played quite well. Sorry, not last year, the year before. They still played quite well, knocking off a few scouts.
Tom Starling did well.
Mm-hmm.
That young fellow came off the bench for Havili. From what I saw from the highlights, he's quick. They reckon he's Damien Cook mould. His defence was great. He put a few players on their backs. He done really well. He's built like a brick shithouse, even though he's 4'2".
Yeah, boy.
He's built. I like that. He looks like a genuine hooker.
I wonder what Billy would say about George Williams. I loved him attacking the line, step straight through, run over the top. Oh man,
I'm not 100% convinced on him, but he did play a good game.
He did, and he's played his good games against big teams, I think.
Yeah.
Brett Morris, another double. Like, Jesus, slow down, mate. But yeah, Raiders still showing they got what it takes. Roosters weren't their best, but sometimes a team cannot be their best, but sometimes it's because the opposition's forced them to play a certain way. So kudos to the Raiders. They get the win over the Roosters. Complete opposite game to kick off Friday night. This is up at Sunshine Coast Stadium. This is our local stadium.
It looked amazing.
The grass looked like carpet. We're hoping to get along to the Newcastle Storm match for round 11.
Yeah.
We'll bring you updates on that. So this was Melbourne Storm's feeder clubs, the Sunshine Coast Falcons. So this is a kind of home away from home. They do trainings and stuff through here during preseason usually, and they made it look like it was a home game. They just ran riot over a...
Yeah, there's not much to say for Titans in this game. They unfortunately didn't look good.
No,
they were just... And Melbourne were incredible. Tino Fassett admittedly looked great. Brandon Smith with 8 on his back looked great.
We were questioning the selection here and what they were going to do, and
their 4-pack it was just a domination in the middle. That's all it was. Like it was just it was bad. And then their back line is because Melbourne have a very interchangeable back line with a few positions.
Yeah.
They just ran roughshod over them. Like that.
And a weird stat that jumped out was with the domination like this, you'd be expecting someone to run for a whole bunch of meters at some point. Nelson Asafa-Solomone came off the bench, played 40 minutes, and topped the meters for the entire game with 157.
That's the thing. They did. They still ran through the middle of them, but it was more... find your front, get up quick play to balls and just rolling on like that. That's more what it wasn't, running through mass amounts of breaks. It was just clinical football.
And we didn't mention the score. It was 42-6.
Yeah. It was just...
one of those 7 tries. Cam Smith, 6 out of 7 conversions and a penalty goal. Smith had a bloody blinder. What did he score? 14 points, for the 7 kicks. Storm, they're kind of starting to roll, aren't they? Their last few games have been picking up wins over the Roosters. Was probably the one that we started to put our heads up. Then they beat the Raiders down in Canberra. And then they belted one of the teams they should have. So they've beaten the 2 of their other top 2 teams, all beaten tight games where they ground them out, and then they had the chance to put a team to the sword, and they did so.
Yeah.
All right, second Friday night game.
We've already talked about it.
Is it just me, or has there been more beltings this year than any other season?
Yeah, but that's not for a particular reason, though.
Just with regards to the amount of beltings that we've seen.
There's more beltings this year, I think. I reckon. But there's been a few comebacks recently too, and that's what we'll talk about on Saturday night. There's 2 pretty good comebacks on Saturday night.
And far out, like, there was no comeback in this game. This just...
We've already touched on a lot. Adam can read you the stats, but you can all pretty well guess what they're going to be. It was just...
I got, like, Broncos aren't one of my favourite teams, but I couldn't even watch this. It was just... To me, it's no fun. It was 26-0 at half-time, like, and they won the second half 22-0.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, like we touched on, both Lewis tries. Like, the first one where he ran
both second rowers scored doubles.
Yeah.
Luke Garner's
that's right at
scoring back rower.
That's right at Milford and Croft, and that's directly in the face of Oates. Directly in the face of
Lewis'
Oates
first try.
Yeah.
Far out. Like, what was the commentator saying? Or Richie Kenner was trying to decide whether to go out or stay in.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do either. He stays on his man, Brodie Croft. You mark up from the outside, winger gets winger, centre gets centre, 5'8" gets second row, whatever. You practice your tackling.
Yeah.
Croft just stood there like he had fucking cement on his feet and didn't even move.
Yeah.
But
there's not much more we can say.
The stats don't even help the Broncos because the possession was 52-48. The completion rate was 88% to 80.
That's a pretty good completion rate.
Yeah, but you look at this. Possession was 4% different. 3 minutes of possession difference. Run meters 1,958 to 1,100. It's pretty much an 800. Well, if you round both of them up, it's an 800-meter difference. Considering they had, they had 14, 7 line breaks to 1, 30 tackle breaks to 19. Kick return.
Another thing is
277 to 76.
Another thing that annoys me about the Broncos is they don't use Payne Haas half as well as they should. Like, we did talk about the 80 minutes thing. That's been solved. He's taken him off for like 15 minutes a game. Great. But what annoys me the most is he's so agile, he's so quick, and he's so damaging. They're using him for dead plays.
Yeah.
Like positional plays. Like, that's where you use Flegler. That's where you use Carrigan. That's where you use bloody... Who's there a front rower?
Kennedy?
I can't even remember.
Lodge?
I can't even remember. But that's where you use the guys who are the media readers. That's where you use those guys. For someone like Haas, he should be running the tight line. Oh, Pangai. Pangai's the same as Haas. They're the ones who should be running the tight lines, the flat balls off the hooker, because they're so big and agile and they've got the hands to do it. But if they just keep like popping off, oh, can you make us meters here? Like the same... Cowboys had the same problem with Tumbalolo in 2014. And then in 2015, when they won the grand final, Paul Green went, fuck it, give him the ball in the third tackle when he's running the behind run of the block ball.
Yeah.
And he started scoring tries, and magically they started winning games. That's the level Payne Haas can be. But they're like, oh, you know. And it's just so frustrating because he can be so... And I understand he's fit enough to do it, but... Despite someone being fit, that doesn't mean they should be using them to do these plays.
No, 100% agree.
Like, it's so frustrating.
Because look at that. The kick return meters was 77 meters. It's like that's how little the Tigers had to kick the ball because they just kept scoring.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. One of my favourite tweets that I saw at the weekend. What NRL club allows the Bulldogs to score 22 unanswered points? They still lost, but yeah. They let the Bulldogs score 20. So, Dragons squared the ledger after the Bulldogs beat them earlier the year.
They shouldn't have.
No. So, Dragons won 28-22. So, they scored 3 tries in the last 15 minutes. So, to nab this one. So, sorry, at halftime, the Bulldogs were up 20-10, but they were also down 10-0 to start the game, with Matt Duffy and Ewan Aitken scoring tries within the first 7 minutes. Bulldogs went on to score 22 unanswered points. Kieran Foran went off for what was a HIA, passed that, but didn't return for the rest of the game because it has now come out with a foot injury. And then Dragons kind of just turned it on, and the Bulldogs just imploded because losing's a habit just as much as winning is. Ewan Aitken looked quite good again. Duffy looked good again, and Lomax. Man, he looks confident. Every time he steps up to that kicking tee, he's just slotting them from everywhere. That's what, four wins in a row now for the Dragons, if I'm not mistaken.
And that means that McGregor's going to get signed for another 5 years.
Yeah, it could be. So, what's his name? Gregorialis? How do you say it?
Georgialis.
Sorry, I wasn't even close. That was his first taste going, what the hell's going on? You could just see his face as the Bulldogs imploded.
Yeah.
Raymond Fatala-Mariner, he's playing with a bit of fire. He's running hard. He's hitting lines. So he's running his lines, hitting holes. Jason Saab under the high ball is just a weapon. And Dragons kind of look like they're having fun again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smiles from the players. There was some high fives, even a post-try celebration.
Well, that's what a win's going to do for them. Like, that's the reality of it. Yeah, Bulldogs. I think in that touch on it, you were right when you said losing's just as much of a habit as winning. They just didn't know how to close this out. They've done all the work they needed to do. And then they just went, phew, see ya, here you go, guys, have it.
Yeah. They thought the game was fun and it wasn't even close.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for them. They're just, once they get that habit, they'll be fine. But it's just one of those games where they could have come away. They should have won.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It wasn't 4 wins in a row, sorry. For the Dragons. It was 4 out of their last 6 is what I saw.
That's all right.
Their losses were against the Raiders and the Roosters. They've beaten Manly, Bulldogs, Titans, and Sharks. All right. So that brings us on to the second game of Saturday. So that was the first comeback game of the day. Dragons coming back to snatch that one. And then Rabbitohs almost did the same thing to the Knights, who built themselves quite a handy lead. Jared's boy, Kurt Mann, got across for another try. What were they up? 14, 18?
14.
They were up?
Yeah, 20-6 or something they're up.
Yeah. Well, Rabbitohs didn't score their first try to the 65th minute, and Knights had already scored 4.
Yeah. Firstly, I'd like to say that I'm loving Adam O'Brien's reactions in the games. I don't know if you got to see it, but he is literally turning into a Bellamy clone, and it's fucking fantastic. He's blowing up hardcore in the chat in the coaches watch, which is absolutely, I'm all over that shit. It's great. Mitch Barnett had a great game. Like, he made a difference, put a few hits on, which was great.
First one back from victory, yeah?
Yeah, came off the bench. Okay, so you mentioned Kurt Mann.
You got to say it.
No. I know. Okay, so here's what I'm saying about Kurt Mann.
He played well.
He did. He passed the fucking football. So the first try, he passed to Bradman Best. Bradman Best took in the winger, flicked it out to Heimel Hunt. Try. The second try, what?
Anari Tuala.
No, Tuala. Second try, he passed to Bradman Best on an unders play. Bradman Best made a half break, which put South Sydney on the back foot, and then Mitchell Pearce put Kurt Mann in the gap.
Great support play.
See the process that I've been criticising for that happened twice in the first 10 minutes that he's been doing?
Yeah, Kurt Mann put himself in a good position to help his
No,
team.
no. He passed the football. He passed the football. And then, funnily enough, while Kurt Mann's passing the football around instead of running it, funnily enough, it gave Kalen Ponga enough room to actually move.
And Ponga ran and didn't pass.
He's a fullback.
I know.
That's it. That's his job. As a 5'8",
he's got to stop passing.
But he only has to pass because Kurt Mann isn't.
Whatever, you won.
No, only just. Like, they scored 2. They got the ball over 2 times, so they got disallowed.
Yeah, why'd that Burgess try not get allowed?
They said he knocked it on, which I thought was funny because they're going to say he's knocked it on over the line, but we only had a scrum 10 metres out. So I don't really know what was going on there. But, yeah.
Yeah,
we won.
That as a
Gay Guy had an absolute cracker, which is great. And so every time Newcastle play, I watch the opposing press conferences. So Adam O'Brien usually does a 7 to 10 minute press conference. Yeah. Wayne Bennett, 1:50.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good for Bennett. But yeah,
this was one of the most even games I've seen all year with regards to the stats, except for kicking.
Yeah, so Newcastle just they got where they needed to get to win the game. They just thought they won it at the 60th minute mark. I reckon I think that's what happened. They just kind of, we've already done this. We'll call it a day.
Well, Newcastle, they just continue their up and down season. They're winning some games, making them look like they're one of your contenders, but then they have a week where they're just pretenders, and you're like, oh, geez.
So you can't be really sure. You're always, I always talk to my partner before the game. She asked me if I'm nervous. I'm always nervous before a game because I know we have the ability to win. But it's like, why aren't you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's how I felt for the first 60th minute. Okay, we're going to win. And then at the 75th minute, I went, why aren't you winning, kind of thing. Oh, shit, kind of it's. I don't think anyone's 100% sold on Newcastle for that reason.
No. They're a hell of a lot further ahead than they were 2 years ago, but it still shows how far they've still got to go. That's right. So freaking hard. So the last game on Saturday was the second game of the season between the Sea Eagles and Parramatta. Remembering the first game of this season, Parramatta won based on that pass call against Manly in the last play of the game. There was almost another moment like that in this game. Manly took it to them straight away. Parramatta were off, but Manly also didn't literally let them get into the game at all, really, in the first half, except for Michael Jennings' try. It was 22-4 to Manly at the break. It ended up being 22-18, so Manly didn't score in the second half. And Parramatta mounted the third comeback of the day, but fell short, as did South in the second game. As a Manly fan, I really loved Cherry Evans' comments after the game.
He's so professional with everything he does when he talks, isn't he?
He's such a good leader of the team. He's such a good leader of the club. He's
a media dude.
The thing that I really appreciated the most was he's now 31, saying that last week against the Dragons was one of the worst games of his career, playing-wise, statistic-wise, results-wise. And he said, you'd hope by this stage of your career, you'd think by this stage of your career, you pass games like that. But this sport has a way of showcasing that no player can play 9 out of 10 every week. And he said that was a learning experience for himself in that without Trebojevic and Walker there, he took on too much.
Yeah.
And that's something I said just watching it. And he said, yeah, I took on too much.
He was
Whereas
trying
this
too
week
hard.
I was trying to do too much for the team and had a negative impact. So whereas this week it was more about just doing what I had to do. And it did. Like, he scored a try, set up a try. His kick meters were freaking off the charts. He kept a cool head. Like, Parramatta had 57% possession. So in the second half, Manly lost 14-0, but it could have been a hell of a lot more. Like, run meters, 2,200 to Parramatta, 1,400 to Manly. So it's 800 extra meters to Para, but Manly kept showing up in defense. It was Manly's highest halftime score of the season, which is scary. At 22, there you go. Kicking meters, 814. I'm pretty sure Cherry got the majority of that. Let's have a look through here. What else? So the big, I guess, talking point of this game was the Wanga Blake try, non-try. Martin Tapau was hitting the ball up. There were 3 people in the tackle. And the video ref deemed that he was trying to offload the ball because it was away from his body. I didn't think he was trying to offload the ball. I could see how they came to that because the ball was away from his body. But there wasn't a Manly player anywhere near them for an offload. And he never actually made that backwards motion looking like he was trying to offload the ball. So I had to look online what the reaction was from neutral supporters. And Warren Smith tried to justify the call or whatever. He got absolutely slammed by people. And most were in the account that wasn't a strip. It was a strip. It wasn't a try. I don't know. Did you see it, Jared?
Yeah, I don't think it was a strip.
You don't reckon?
It is. Nah. Oh, no, sorry. I do think it was a strip.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's what I mean.
Sorry.
Yeah. It was three in one. To me, it was clear as day.
I don't think your offload. The thing about Tapau is he's always looking for an offload. And the fact that there was no one around wouldn't mean that Tapau isn't looking for an offload. The justification there was that he wouldn't have passed it if no one was there. You know what I mean? So, but he did have his hands out. I thought he was looking for that offload. He just wasn't going to do it.
That still doesn't give the defender right to put their arm in.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. If he hit his arm...
That's what Warren Smith's argument was. If he's trying to offload the ball, the defender can do anything necessary to prevent that from happening.
They can, but they're not allowed to take the ball off. Yeah, they're allowed to hold their hands on the ball and wrap it up and not take it off him. So it was a shit call.
Man.
It would have been a lot
doing
worse
the comeback. If they'd won and that was one of the tries, holy shit.
Yeah, it would have blown up.
But
you won.
You won. So Manly needed that one. It halted a bit of a skid. They're still outside the top 8. And that last Parramatta try that Manly led in the last play of the game allowed them to hold on to top position over the Storm on 4 and
until this afternoon.
That was all null and void this afternoon's game. Sorry, you go?
Yeah. It'd be interesting how Parramatta react to this. So I didn't think they played too well against Newcastle, but they still got the win. And then reality is they got dominated in the first half, and then they came back in the second half. But there was some very shit efforts in that game. So Dowie Cherry Evans comes to mind. That was a Sean Lane and Jai Field. That was horrible. The try. They didn't even touch him 2 meters.
Oh yeah, no, that was. I thought you were saying Cherry Evans had a bad game.
No. Just the effort between the two when he scored the try. That was horrible. So Parramatta have deserved to be at the top where they are, the way they played. I think they're second now, but they deserve to be up there. This is their biggest hurdle all year. And it just comes down to, it's not the players, it's how Brad Arthur refocuses them then to get to that point where they were a month ago.
And they've got they've got a Friday. And they've got a big game, like West Tigers on Thursday night to open the round.
Yeah.
And Tigers come 48-0 win.
Yeah, so it just comes down to how Brad Arthur can go, look, guys, you lost. Get over it. And what he does to get his players to the point where they were, for the rest of the season. And I think they slid, last week and they lost this week. And if he doesn't get on top of it quickly and gets them properly ready for the rest of the season, they could do I'm not saying they will, but they could do a Parramatta revolt and kind of just fade out a little bit like they have done. No, I'm not saying they will. I think there's a low chance of happening.
Yeah.
But I just think this is a massive turning point in their season. And it'd be real because, Roosters lost on the weekend. We have no doubt they're going to come back next week and go, fuck you, we're still the Roosters. That question mark's still on the Parramatta, how they're going to react to a loss. I see what you're saying. So that's I'm not being critical of them. I'm just saying it'd be interesting how they can go back from that.
I also think there's some teams this year that are good enough to beat them even when they're not playing well.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
But I know there's one thing. I just want to do a big shout out to a funny thing that happened when Brad Parker tackled Seibold.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the tweets after that?
I didn't mean half.
Yeah, so everyone was trying to get Brad Parker to give Tedesco a call to tell him how to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tedesco, give him a call and ask him tips.
Oh, man. Brad Parker, he doesn't have a lot going for him athletically, but shit, he can cut. He can cut tackle, man.
Do you know what the cool thing about it was? I don't think he realised what he did. Because he kind of got up and he kind of just stood there and he's like looking around going, was that me? And then Cherry Evans like ripping into it, like yelling into his ear, telling him
Steve had to go off, going, oh.
Yeah. And Brad Parker was just like nonchalant about it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Either did that actually happen to me or I tackle big black dudes like that all the time.
Yeah.
That's nothing. You know what I mean? Like he kind of got up really relaxed about it where a lot of players would have got up and went, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it was a
huge awesome
moment in the game too, because that was very much.
I think it was 3 minutes to go or something.
Yeah, very much in the Parramatta when they had the control of the game. No, that was sick. Going into Sunday's games, Todd Payton, interim coach for the Warriors, said this was their worst performance of the year, and that pretty much sums it up. Sharks run away 46-10 victors here over the Warriors. Remembering I'd almost tipped the Warriors, so I talked myself out of it by saying Sharks scored 24 points last week and lost. I'd say that it scored at least that against the Warriors. It was 24-4 at halftime, so there's your 24 points. Braden Haminuele, if a prop's scoring that easily as the first try of the game, you're worried. Will Kennedy comes back into the team at fullback. Scores a try. Katoa picking up a double. Ramian picking up a double. Sean Johnson, 1, 2, 7 conversions and a try. Oh, man, it was... Warriors scored a consolation in the 79th minute. Mamalo scored one at 20. We were talking about whether the Warriors would be, all right, let's just rip in. We've got 2 weeks left before our players leave. Mamalo being
I said
one.
they wouldn't.
Yeah, and they didn't. It was one-way traffic, start to finish. One of those weird games. Completion rates were poor for both teams. Warriors actually had more possession. Only 300 metres in run difference, but we're having a look. Warriors had more tackle breaks, 40-37. I'm trying to find the missed tackles. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh, jeez, it's not good for either team.
Okay, so
37-40.
This is the complete opposite of Broncos losing. So Broncos have no excuses. Warriors have every excuse under the sun. And next week and the week after is probably going to be worse. Cronulla probably just got them on a pretty good week this week.
Yeah.
There might be a game or two for the rest of the season. Warriors come out and play like we know they can. But so me and Adam talk about rugby league a lot for the last couple of years. And every time there's a new coaching position come up, Adam's like, Walker Brothers. And then, so I saw these headlines. So for everyone who doesn't understand, the Walker Brothers coach Ipswich for the last 10 years. I think they won the grand final once in 10 years. Hell of a strike rate. Yeah.
They're not coaching at the moment. They're doing real estate.
Yeah. But, okay, so they've got a very unique way of playing rugby league. It's completely different than what, let's just say, everything the Roosters do, throw it out the window and then throw it out of a moving train. This is the way they play. They kick on the first tackle. They kick the ball alive constantly. This is how the Ipswich Jets played. Adam loves that style of football. He's been loving it ever since we watched them win against Newcastle in the what I call the Super Bowl Interstate Challenge.
State grand final.
Yeah, where they won. So he's been gunning for this. So I saw the headlines here. I messaged Adam. I'm pretty sure Adam's jizz came through my phone. He was that excited. So, so it was rumored that they've already signed a 1-year contract. That has been denied by the by the Warriors. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
It would be so good.
See? There he goes.
I jumped on my favourite tweet of the weekend was this one where it was swirling around on Twitter and someone said, "Oh, there's no point. Their attacking style's not going to work in the NRL." And someone hit back, "Yeah, because the Bulldogs' defensive efforts have been great for the last 3 years." Sorry, the Bulldogs' defensive style has been great for the last 3 years.
It'd be fun to watch. It's not going to get them a grand final.
Why not?
I don't think in the NRL they won't break down the Roosters' attack like this. I will admit the way. Okay, so if anyone's never seen Ipswich Jets play, just type it into YouTube and you'll just sit there and go. And anyone who's learning rugby league, do not type it into YouTube.
They do
it is horrible.
They were doing short kickoffs on the first kick of the semi-final.
Yeah,
like they do a short dropout just literally for the hell of it. Like
yeah, they kick on the second tackle. They keep the ball alive no matter what. Their error rate is astronomical because they just throw the ball everywhere, like gridiron passes across the field. It's just ever seen The Longest Yard? They play schoolyard bullshit.
Yes,
that's what it is. The part I don't like, and again, the Roosters, the Warriors have denied they've signed the Walker Brothers as coach. Part I don't like is the fact that, and you can't believe all the rumours you hear, but the rumours say it's only for a year. You can't sign a coach for a year. It's minimum 3-year contracts for a coach. If you're going to sign a new coach, you're going to invest 3 years into them because by the third year, that's their team. So, yeah, you got to... I hope it's not 1 year. So, they signed Broncos. 5 years.
I didn't give them 3.
I hope it's not 1 year because I don't think that's going to properly show, especially the Warriors right now, properly show what they can do. Right. But I guarantee you, if the Walker Brothers do get signed, a lot of people are going to start supporting the Warriors.
Oh, hell
just because their brand of football will be like just awesome. Ridiculous.
And all right, last game of the round. Cowboys. They were valiant. You could see how far off they are because they didn't have the killer instinct when their game was on the line. In the second half, they were down 16-10 with about 20 minutes to go. And they had chances to win the game, but they didn't keep the ball. They didn't hold possession of the ball enough. They weren't in control of the game, like a team that was 16-10 down, and Penrith were a little bit off. And Cowboys' defense was really good. That's what kept them in it. But they just couldn't get across the line, and Penrith finished stronger. They looked the better team at the end of the game. That's why they deserve their top position on the ladder. Stephen Crichton getting through again due to the work done inside him by Tyrone May, who's been used as a utility forward at the moment. But probably my favourite individual try of the season, Hamaso, or the Hammer as they call him, Feedow by the Cowboys. His individual effort from about 40 metres out. Step, palm, through a gap, palm.
All over.
And used his speed, and it was great to watch. And Dejan Assey ended up getting that starting role at 5'8". Mitch Dunn went back to the bench, and he looked good, man. Like, this young fella, he's got some touch, he's got some finesse, especially the short kicking game. He can boot the hell out of the ball. I reckon the Cowboys have got something here. It's not like he didn't look like one of those flash in the pan sort of kids. He was pretty level-headed. He was pissed off at his teammates. Oh, what was it? About 10 minutes to go, actually. I think they were trying to build pressure, and he did a beautiful little grubber kick. He was facing kind of towards the corner. He put a grubber kick through for his second row center winger, and they got through, touch and goal. But the lazy buggers on the inside of him, behind his back, were offside. So the Penrith got a penalty, booted it, ended up going up the other end and scoring on their tries, I'm pretty sure, or at least keeping pressure on. And he turned around and he was just death stared. I think it was Francis Molo and one of the other inside forwards, and he just looked him down going, "You motherfuckers." That was like, I'm like, it's his debut and he's already staring down the guys on the inside because they're offside. And
yeah, I didn't actually watch this game, but I was keeping an eye on the score on my phone, and we all know Beetle, my little brother, supports Penrith, and I sent him a message. I can't remember what the score was at one point. What did I say? Yeah, I think you better not blow this or something. Yeah, you better not blow this, mate, because by the looks of the score and how Cowboys are coming back, I thought there was a legitimate chance Cowboys could roll Penrith, considering that last week, what was the score for the Cowboys game?
Owned.
Where is it? 42-16 over Roosters beat them. So the fact that they've done pretty well against the current top of the table team is a good turnaround for them. So yeah, it's good on them.
Yeah, Nate showed again that he can control a game. He's kicking, he's running. Oh man, he put 2 shots on in a row. One against, who did he chop in half? One of the forwards, and then straight up, it was at marker. Then it was an awesome shot, 1-on-1, stopped the forward in their tracks, and then he ran from marker, smacked Cohen Hess up under the ribs, and forced a knock on. And
you know what?
And he went, whoa, and then like pushed Hess out of the way, and you got a halfback pushing a second row. And you're like,
do you know what I like about Cleary? So whenever Tedesco runs, you feel like he could potentially get injured. You know how he quick feet.
Yeah.
He's got every time I run, I reckon he's going to tear his ACL because he just like jams his foot in the ground, twists it around and stuff like that. Obviously, Tom Trbojevic tears his hamstring every time he gets out of bed. He's got a really good build for rugby league, but the way he runs, it's so natural and clean. He doesn't look like he's going to suffer many injuries on the run. Like, you know what I mean? He just...
NRL physio right here on the show.
No, it's just like, there's certain players like Kalen Ponga, when he runs, he shoves his head into everything. Tedesco, when he runs, like I said, looks like he's going to tear his ACL. Cleary just looks like an NRL naturally built player who's got the natural physique to play in his position.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
No,
looks
you're
like
saying.
this looks like he's going to be a player around for a long time who's not going to sustain long-term injuries for a long, like Kieran Foran, for example. Like he burst on the scene probably a little better than Cleary did, actually. Yeah, but his body just ruined it. It doesn't look like Cleary's going to have that problem. So I really like that about Cleary. He's going to be in the game for a long time.
And if he ever does
don't
get
like
injured,
the
just
idea
as long as it's around Origin time.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea that he's a Penrith player. That's the
We
part
can't get all of them, man. We can't get all of them. And with that swipe, we'll say, we'll finish the show there, guys. So Thursday, we were having our interview for tomorrow night's been pushed back a week. Our guest has said yes to too many things and needs at least one night off. So we're hoping to get them on this time next week. So until then, bye.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Six Again. Connect with the show on Twitter, Instagram, and the Six Again website. All links via the show's bio. Be sure to check out Adam's craft beer choice of the week.